Here at the AnomicAge, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the AnomicAge, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the JohnAge project at AnomicAge.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, isn't it?
Well,
yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrissey?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
What do you understand?
That she feels like she doesn't want to be like everyone else, and she wants to be her own person. And through the dress code and her lifestyle, she's expressing this. It doesn't conform with our rules, but we're learning to cope, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Extremely difficult.
Dareth, let's let you talk for yourself. You're from Long Beach, California.
I just can't handle being like everybody else because that's what everybody else wants, you know. Just because somebody else does something does not mean that I have to do it. You know, I have my own morals and ideals, and I go by them.
Are you drug-free, Dareth?
Yes, I am.
Is this a political statement, then? Do you have some misgiving about the society that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, you know. A lot of the people are really aware of what's going on, you know, and I don't like it, you know. There's a lot of problems.
What?
I don't like the way society is based.
What bothers you? Give us some of the misgivings you have.
The rich, the poor, the people starving, the wars, you know. Why can't, you know, everybody just get along and just live their life?
Selling real and Chevy.
Propagating truth in a world of lies. You are listening to the JohnAge Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the AnomicAge, and I am your host, JohnAge, coming at you from the coastal plains of the old North State. I'll be your tour guide this afternoon. We're almost into the evening, I guess, as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder, destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of human life on this planet. A forced march into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global satanic death cult of pedophiles. Please check out AnomicAge.com if you've not already done so. Please like all the likes. Subscribe to all the subscriptions. Looks a little like this. If you're new to the game, AnomicAge.com. It's where you can find all things me. Please like all the likes. Subscribe to all the subscriptions. PayPal.me/AnomicAge. Patreon.com/AnomicAge as well. Yep, that's the best places you can go to help me to help this show and to otherwise just support the program. So I wasn't going to get into another show quite this quickly. I thought about doing one last night, and I was just too doggone tired, to be honest with you. But here we are, continuing our conversation. Got to put the big art on the screen. I worked on this one for a little bit today. For a little while today, anyway. And it was a complete play off of the old Nightmare on Elm Street. If you remember that old Nightmare on Elm Street movie, one of my personal favorites. And you remember the parts where the mom and the daughter were talking there in the kitchen. And the daughter goes, "His name's Fred Krueger, Mom. Fred Krueger." It's Fred Krueger. And the mom's just a drunk and then proceeds to tell the daughter that, they killed Fred. They killed Fred Krueger. He can't be coming after you now. And, I'm not really a Tulsi Gabbard fan, nor am I a, detractor of Tulsi Gabbard's, but the stripe in her hair is, I don't know how to say it. It's kind of comical. I mean, being a horror movie fan myself, I dig it. But I guess to like the normies in the real world, it's kind of like, what? It looks completely deranged, I gotta say. But whenever I see Tulsi Gabbard talking, I immediately think of Nightmare on Elm Street. And the daughter in that film franchise always repping the gray streak. The gray streak. So I couldn't resist putting Tulsi Gabbard's head on the Nightmare on Elm Street character. And just had some fun with it. And that's what we do around here. Try to have some fun in the face of this insanity. So there she is. There's Tulsi Gabbard, the proverbial Tulsi Gabbard talking to the mom. And I was going to put President Trump's name on, I was going to put President Trump's face on the mom there. Nancy. I was blanking on the name of the female lead there in the movie. It's Nancy Thompson. So, nevertheless, you got Tulsi Gabbard, a.k.a. Nancy Thompson there. And I was going to put Trump's face on the mom, but I didn't. It just didn't work out right. Not quite as good as this Tulsi Gabbard on Nancy. Anyway, I know I'm kind of having too much fun with this, I guess. I don't know. I love the artwork. Spend some time on it. I love doing the graphic design. It's actually more rewarding than the show most of the time, but I digress. Why is this whole thing just a big who cares? Man, feels like it's hard to breathe in here for some reason. Anyway, why is this whole thing such a big who cares, folks? It's a big who cares because it's another weapon of mass distraction. That's why. It's a big old psyop. And I posted a few things online today about how hilarious it is that nobody can see the forest for the trees. They can't see the psyop for the false flags. I mean, I don't even know how to word this properly. It's so stupid. Myopic. Short-sighted. Idiotic. So let me get this straight, folks. Follow me if you can. So this is the same Transparency Administration, same one, that has been talking about releasing countless redacted files related to JFK. Has it been done? No. Countless related files dealing with the assassination of RFK. Has it been done? No. Countless redacted files dealing with the assassination of MLK. Has it been done? Negativo. No es posible. Non sequitur, if you will. So we've got all that. Just keep this in your cerebro, if you can. So same administration that promised all this transparency and is giving you none. Mm-hmm. Boy, I'm even gonna get into the Marjorie Taylor Greene. She exposed it several days ago, but she was on AJ's program today, talking about a lovely piece of legislation that's about to just single-handedly drive on home The social credit score, the number of the beast to buy and sell, all the stuff they've talked about for decades now. They're finally going to normalize, legitimize, and otherwise standardize it with the piece of legislation that they're just dying to push. And apparently the only person that's against this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's see if we can pull this up. I can't remember the name of this bill. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on it. Oh, my goodness. This is the funniest part of it all, folks. If you look up Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump, the only thing that they're talking about is how she's again Trump. She ain't with Trump anymore. Yeah, because she's not going for it. Good grief. It's so sad that this is the world we live in, folks. Anyway, I'm not going to spend forever looking up this nonsense. Anyway, to the heart of the matter, same administration has done all this. Zero. Once again, zero. Cero. Gentes. Cero. So while you're thinking about all that, you're thinking about the January 6th people that have still not been prosecuted. That would be the scumbags responsible for it. Are they prosecuted for it? No. And you remember in Trump's speech yesterday, he was talking about Hills. And as he said during his first regime, he wasn't going to go after Hills. Well, no, I take this back. He campaigned on the fact that he was going after Hills. If you remember, because you'd be in jail. His famous line, you'd be in jail. That, by many, was the spark that put him over the top. But then he gets in office, and nobody's going to jail. And then he spoke about this yesterday, saying, I didn't go after Hills because she was the former president's wife, but I'm going to have to go after Barack Hussein Obama, yeah. Anyway, so all this is quite convenient because we just bombed Iran, and that got swept under the rug. That was the big talking point du jour for 72 hours. Then it was on to the next. And right after that, on the heels of the Iran bombing, it really became the Epstein cover-up op for about a couple weeks. First, it was, remember from yesterday, Bondi's going to release this stuff. It's on her desk forever. And then months go by, nothing happens. Then you got Bongino coming out there with Patel. And then they're saying, there's never been any files. There's never been any files at all. And then Trump just comes out and just lamblasts his support by saying, you're either with me or with the terrorists. I mean, you're either going to put this Epstein thing behind you or you're just not a true Trump supporter. And I got a little flack from the show yesterday. Somebody was, I can't remember, saying something to the effect that I must be a shill or an operative or something because I guess I'm not going with orthodoxy of the Trump papacy. You remember he even said he was excommunicating people a couple of weeks back that he's going to excommunicate people. Well, guess what, Trump? I'm not in your cult. I'm not in your papacy, and you can't excommunicate me because I don't care. I'm just going to tell you what's really going down. And what's really going down is we've surpassed the Iran bombing. We've kicked the can down the road, and we're trying to do everything under the sun to obfuscate the Epstein client list. Because then they said there was no list. Why are you even talking about the list anymore? Why are you questioning known liars? Isn't it just comical? All right, so follow me, if you will, down the road here. Because these are the same people, folks. The same people. Okay? Yep. The same people who are now saying, I guess, I saw a great meme, and I put it on my social media. It had Trump looking like a rat, and it had the war with Russia. Let me see if I can pull this up because I'm going to mess these up. It had war with Russia. It had blame the media. And then it said blame Obama. It's on all my social media. You can find it there. But, that's kind of where we are now. So I guess we're waiting on war with Russia to see if Russia backs down. They're not going to. We have blamed the media, I guess, for still continuing to talk about the client list. And blamed your own supporters for that as well. Don't forget that. And now if all those diversionary tactics didn't work, now we're up to blame Obama. And all this has not been revelatory information for over 20 years, folks. I can't recall the date Epstein first went to somewhat jail or, got charged with some of this stuff. It was at least 15 years ago. Easy. I covered this yesterday. Franklin scandal, DC Madam, the whole 9 yards. None of this is revelatory information. It's just the fact that no one's dared to broach these topics before. And Trump at least gave lip service to transparency and lip service to the fact that he was going to unseal the archives and go after the criminals. And alas, he's doing the biggest gaslighting I've ever seen since the 9/11, planes took down the Pentagon. That's the last time I've seen Psyop gaslighting quite like what we're seeing today. So now we're up to blame Obama. So the big news du jour is this. Is Tulsi Gabbard coming out there and saying what everyone has known for quite a while. It's Tulsi Gabbard coming out on live TV. And, this is all over social media. All the cult members are posting this like, see, I told you the sealed indictments are on the way and nobody ever talked about what's in them envelopes and it's all coming down, bo, just like the cue balls planned it. So I guess today this is revelatory again, like, oh my goodness. Tulsi Gabbard's coming out and saying water is wet, fire is hot, and ice is cold. And everybody's abuzz, like we just found some sort of alternate state of matter or something. Like, this is not new information. This is very, very old information. This is not even news. I mean, it's news. Why? Because the Mockingbird Media puts Tulsi Gabbard on the screens for all the big networks and says what everybody knew. That Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Clinton were behind the Steele dossier. They were behind the Russiagate. They were behind the stolen elections. They were behind all the bull butter you've been seeing for the last 20 plus odd years. That's the big scoop? Like, okay. But I guess, the myopic blind spot of the cult members, the psychology of this is really intriguing. Because it's a degree of cognitive dissonance where the same people who have just lied to your face and gaslit you and said there was no list, we're not going to talk about Epstein, it's all water under the bridge, the same exact people who just said all that are somehow the exact same people that are going to prosecute Barack and Hills? Like, does that make any sense to anybody at all? Just try to put that in your brain and make that make sense to you at all. Okay? Because it doesn't make any sense at all, folks. It would be like, my goodness. It would be like Ted Bundy starts a women's rights group or something. It'd be like it'd be like Jeffrey Dahmer being a professional chef and cooking meals like on a high-end restaurant or something. That's how completely backwards all that would be. But yet the general public still seems to buy into it. They're still going like, oh, finally, last week we were all idiots for believing there was a list and we were all scumbags because we dared to question you. Oh, great, Pope Trump. But this week, yay, we're going after Barack and Hills. Like, what? This is like the old school definition of a smokescreen, of just complete obfuscation. I hearken back to like the James Bond movies, and I think this was even in Knight Rider and the A-Team. They'd be following some guy, and he'd push a button, and their smoke screen would, his plume of smoke would spew out of the back of the car. Oh, I can't find the car anymore. I think one of the best ones was, I think it was a Batman cartoon when they were on Scooby-Doo, and they were getting followed by the bad guys, and they just turned off the lights. And then like, Oh my God, I can't find them. Where's Batman? I don't know where he went. You know, like, it's that level of supreme gaslighting and just absolute cognitive dissonance that is just mind-blowing. But if you look on social media, it's just awash with this sort of idiocy. It's like the woman who's been abused over and over again, but she then says, oh, well, he's a good guy. He's bought me these flowers. You know, he beat the bleep out of me last night, but look, he brought me flowers today. So the flowers cancel out the getting beat up. That's kind of where we're at. Because I don't give a rat's patoot what Barry Soetoro has done. He's not going to jail. Hills ain't going nowhere. Bill Clinton ain't going nowhere, folks. Get serious. Get serious. We're talking about American political aristocracy going to jail. But yet, Epstein, his client list, and Ghislaine, you know, like, that's different, right? I'm just trying to make it make sense to me because it doesn't. But instead of the American people being outraged that they're getting gaslit and outraged about the client list, now we've moved on to bigger game, or really it's smaller game. Because I guarantee you what was in the Epstein client list trumps, pun intended, Barry Soetoro. But that's okay, because, you know, after all, he just slapped you around last night and brought you flowers today. I'm sure, yeah, it's the most transparent administration in history. I mean, don't forget, they're going to release the JFK files and the MLK files, and they're going to block fluoride from getting removed from the water. It's just so wild. Let me see. There was one more bit of social media that I was going to put on here. Here we go. Breaking. Republicans on the Senate Intelligence Committee, chaired by Senator Tom Cotton, are crafting legislation that would start restricting Tulsi Gabbard from revealing and releasing to the public deep state and intel files showing they've been criminals. And this isn't surprising. This is what you would expect from scum and criminals, folks. The entire judiciary, the entire three branches of government, the entire mechanism that is America is tore up from the floor up, man. It's not getting any better. It's only going to get worse. Please don't be this stupid. Please, I beg you, Pete, please, God. American people, please, you can't be this stupid, okay? Nothing's going to get released that matters. Nothing's going to get released that matters. No one's going to jail at all. They couldn't even get Piddly Puffy in jail, for Pete's sakes. Kidding me? They can't get some third-rate has-been hip-hop artist. If you looked at some of the old, I recommend this. I can't remember if it's Bigger and Blacker or the other Chris Rock record. It's about 20 years ago at this point again. But it was a great record that really made fun of Diddy because it just had some boob that would just let other people sing and he'd interrupt them on the track and just start saying some nonsense. That's kind of the equivalent of Diddy as a quote-unquote rap hip-hop star. They can't even get this scumbag in prison, folks. Get serious. He's another operative. His dad was an operative. This isn't even conspiratorial. This is factual. Next, it'll be, water is actually wet. That's a conspiracy theory. I mean, what do you think? Epstein client list was real? Come on, man. Please don't be this dumb. So I say all that to say this. Just move on from all this because nothing's going to happen. It's just not. I would say put your time, energy, and effort into what does matter, which is probably not PPing away your time, effort, and energy on social media. It'd be hanging out with your family. It'd be working on yourself. It'd be building your own empire. It'd be maybe trying to get the bleep out of America. I mean, that might be a good move, too. I don't know. because this empire is on the rocks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans of all ages. Those of you who still identify as human, it's on the rocks, folks. We're on the backslide of the Roman Empire. None of these scumbags are going down. But like I said yesterday, you know who will go down? You will. the fuzz catches you speeding on the highway. Oh, ho, ho. They're giving you a ticket. That's what's so hilarious about all this. And no one ever talks about this. I've touched on it numerous times on this show. That is what is the biggest laugh riot of all time. Courts all across this nation are filled with people right now. Are they really criminals? I'm sure some of them are innocent. Some of them are guilty. I'm not even going to wade into those waters. Wade in the water, children. No, I'm not. But what I am going to say is all across this nation, we got courtrooms full of people 8 days a week and twice on Sunday. Morning, noon, and night. Shout out the judge, Harold P. Stone. Anyway, morning, noon, and night, we got people in courts all across this country. Some of them guilty, some of them aren't, but I guarantee they'll see a cell. But then you got the real evil scum, filth, and villainy going on. Primarily out of the District of Criminals. None of those people are going to see a cell, folks. None of them. Settle. Not a snowball's chance. In North Carolina in July, you're going to see any of those scumbags in jail. So forget about it. Unless the American people are willing to go actual 1776, ain't nothing happening. I'm not calling for that. I'm not wanting that. I'm not begging for people to get violent. Don't be stupid. What I am saying is that ain't happening. Nothing's changing. Okay? The only violence you're going to see is out of Psyops, false flags, and otherwise ops to get more people behind bars a la January 6th. So don't be stupid. Don't do something dumb. That ain't happening either, man. So we'll just keep playing shuttlecock across the net. Shuttlecock across the net. And we'll just be batting the shuttlecock across the nets. Because after this whole thing peters out, there'll be the new talking points, the new soup du jour of the day. Oh, we're going to war with Russia now. If this doesn't flame up and catch the ire of the right and the left and have everybody at odds with each other. It's just a show, folks. As the Billy Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage. It is. Trust no one. You can't do everything, but you can do something. Get out there, do your part, make a difference, or don't. I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the AnomicAge.
Thank you for listening to the AnomicAge, a JohnAge project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to AnomicAge.com. That's AnomicAge.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to the AnomicAge.